They brought me into the dean's office. Michael, I'm sorry, but you're not graduating this year. I said, screw it. And I dropped out. Jesus doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the ones that he calls. It was the start of COVID. It was January 2020. I had a dream where this woman in all white came and told me that I needed to get out of this marriage.
And then you were dating some other people and those relationships ended. Still toxic behaviors.
What do I want in a woman? What do I want in a marriage? I started listing it all out.
What I feel the Holy Spirit was nudging me towards, which was getting pregnant. Hi guys, welcome back to Made New Marriage, Mission, and Modern Day Rebellion with me, Samantha Kelly, and my husband, Michael Kelly. Last episode, we went into my story, most of my story.
And if you missed it and you're on YouTube, it's going to be about right here. And if you are on Spotify, then you can check the show notes.
Yeah, so you can go listen to that. And that was like basically my perspective of how we started dating and everything, the stories and the things that went on during that time. And today we're going to go into Michael's perspective of things and, you know, how we got together, how he knew I was the person for him, and, you know, how he's changed through parenthood and what he's excited about in our marriage moving forward. So, Mike, why did you...
What is up?
Why did you like my profile on Hinge? Let's get down to the real good questions here.
Oh, this is definitely not godly.
It's
or
naughty.
Appropriate, but one of the cards on Hinge was like the raw depths of the human experience.
Yeah, I was like, what do you care about in life? And I am my poetic self.
The little boy in me was like raw, and I'm not even gonna say it.
It's so bad.
Let's just move on.
So bad. But you know what's funny, and I talk about this all the time in just my personal podcast and things like that, is God works even in sinful moments.
Oh, 100%. So like, should we kind of lead up to our relationship in my life a little bit?
If you want to, yeah, like talk about, oh gosh, that's a good story. Like, don't give all the like high school stuff, but
yeah,
talk a little bit about like the couple years coming up to when we met each other and like the end of your divorce and things.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the high school stuff, not much, but I got into a fight when I was 16 that put me on 90-day probation. I was on 90-day probation for 2 years because they just kept extending it. Every 90 days, they would just extend it more and more and more. I grew up in a pretty abusive household with domestic violence, just emotional abuse and stuff like that. And the judge that was the judge for my case was actually filling in for another judge that was sick. And the judge that was filling in happened to be my mom's divorce lawyer or divorce judge, the one that like okayed the divorce and all of that with the guy that was abusive. And he knew that I grew up with him for, I think it was 14, 15 years. So she knew I've been around that. She knew what he did. She knew what he was capable of and stuff like that. So they did that to kind of protect me. And at that time, I hated the world. I was like, this is supposed to be the funnest years of my life, and I'm stuck on probation, can't do anything fun. I have to report to a probation officer. Then I ended up in treatment. I went to about 6 different treatment centers, went to 11 different high schools. When I was 18, they brought me into the dean's office or whatever it is, and they're like, Michael, I'm sorry, but you're not graduating this year. You got 2 years left of school. So I did what most troubled teens would do, and I said, screw it, and I dropped out. And around that time, I was dating somebody very toxic, relationship. Um, I had no trust. I didn't trust her. She didn't trust me. I ended up like sexting somebody in the beginning of our relationship, and because I thought that she would just disappear for a weekend and go hang out with one of her guy friends. So I was like, well, she's cheating on me, so I'm going to go do this stuff. And that kind of set our relationship up for the next, sadly, we were together for 9.5 years. And it was honestly extremely toxic.
That is
We,
so long,
yeah,
dude. Like,
to not be
mm,
happy,
9.5 years of your life?
just to be comfortable. And like, that's the only reason we stayed together is just because we were comfortable.
That's a third of your life.
Yeah,
Like, you're 30, what, 33, 32? You're
I'll
32.
be 33 this year. Yeah.
That's like almost a third of your life. I rarely think about that, but it's insane.
Yeah. It's, it was really crazy. And then
The dream, the book.
2020 happened. Like it was the start of COVID. It was January 2020. I had a dream where this woman in all white came and told me that I needed to get out of this marriage. I needed to divorce this woman because there was bigger plans for my life and there was more happiness, more joy, and all of that. And I would not experience that if I stayed in the relationship. And I sat on that dream for 2 weeks thinking, how do I do this? When do I do this? And I remember we were sitting on the couch watching a TV show. It was Brene Brown's Netflix documentary about doing hard things and being brave and being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And I remember looking over and telling her that I'm not happy in our relationship anymore and I'm very sorry, but I want a divorce. And I just started bawling. Like, she, stone cold face, no emotions. And I'm here just bawling like a little baby. But she was like, let's try to work on it. And I was like, okay, we'll try to work on it. And no work was getting done on our relationship. Then she was the bartender, and all of a sudden she was working all these night shifts and she wasn't coming home and all of this stuff. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna file the divorce papers. We're gonna get all this stuff done, and we're just gonna kind of go our separate ways. And I definitely like jumped the gun. I got on Tinder, I got on Hinge, I got on all of those, and I started matching with people, going on dates. I didn't sleep with anybody until the divorce papers were actually like filed and all of that. But I remember I was hanging out with this girl and she like knew I was hanging out with her because I was very open with all of that, probably out of spite just to make her feel like crap, knowing that I was going on a date and stuff like that. But she like called me freaking out saying that she was going to throw my dog outside, let the door open and let the cats run free, and she was breaking all of my stuff and all of this stuff. And I texted my cousin. I was like, hey, you need to go get my dog because she's about to throw him outside. And my cousin's like, I don't even know why she is so upset because she's been cheating on you for a few months now. And that was like before I wanted to get the divorce and stuff like that, as she was seeing someone else. So it's weird that that dream kind of came to me saying that I needed to get out without me knowing that she was actually cheating on me and like all of this stuff was going on. But she worked at my cousin's business, so they kind of knew some stuff was going on with her and another employee, and they just didn't want to tell me because it was COVID and we were stuck in the house together and stuff like that. And it was honestly the weirdest 6 months of my entire life because she still lived there. We were on lockdown. She couldn't really go to work. I worked from home because I own my own business. And yeah, it was just one of the weirdest experiences of my life.
Yeah, so let's move forward
Yeah.
beyond that. Um, and into you, most of that took place in Minnesota, and then you moved down to Florida, Fort Myers. And some of that took place down there as
Yep.
well, I know. And then, that relationship ended. You had this weird period. Those relationships ended. And, still toxic behaviors, still things like that. Um, but God's still leading you in those even extremely dark and sinful and very human, ways of the world moments, and, sending you that dream, sending you an angel, per se, a messenger of truth, and leading you towards what he knew your future was to be, in the same way
Yeah.
that he was, leading me, and I believe leading us to each other. And so, what would you say is the next, like, really important moment? Would you say it's when we then got connected, or is there something else you would want to add?
Yeah, there's definitely something else. So about 2.5 months before we connected on Hinge, I went through a 30-day challenge.
Mm.
And part of the challenge was talking to God and journaling and connecting with other men. And it made me really look at all of the places that I went wrong in my previous relationship and marriage and stuff like that. And it helped me understand who I needed to become in order to attract the woman that I want to spend the rest of my life with, which I am huge on, if you don't know what goal or what you're aiming for, then you're never going to hit it. It's like going to a gun range and putting a blindfold on and hoping that you're going to hit the target and you could just be shooting at the floor for all you know. And throughout that time, I sat down and I was like, what do I want in a woman? What do I want in a marriage? And I started listing it all out. And I wrote every single thing down, what I wanted my future to be. I created a 10-year vision on what my life would look like. And when we matched, we, at that time, I had been on dating apps for about a year and a half. And I'm a copywriter. I don't know if you know what that means. A copywriter is somebody that writes advertisements. They use psychology and stuff like that to understand who their target audience is, what they're selling, and how they can communicate it in the most effective way to get somebody to part ways with their money. It's an exchange of energies and an exchange of value. And I kind of had this script dialed down to kind of, I wouldn't say like cycle through people, but like qualify people.
That's a better word for it.
Qualify, yeah.
Yeah.
Where I would get real deep and real personal within the first like three messages. Like, what do you want in the next 10 years? Like, why are you on this app? And as long as they kept saying the right answers, I kept guiding the conversation deeper and deeper and deeper. I kept guiding the conversation deeper and deeper and deeper, which allowed me to really understand the people that I was talking to on a very deep level that not most people
It's kind of smart.
on the app were doing.
Like on a surface level, it's like, how are you using the same messages with everyone? But on a deeper level, it's like you don't know who you're talking to on the other end of things. So
Yeah.
you really do have to like qualify them and get to know them and make sure that you're not like wasting your time talking to someone.
Oh, 100%. And once I would like tell people like, "Hey, I'm looking for a wife." There were, I'd say 90% of the people that I matched with would just unmatch me right away.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
And I don't know if it's just because like I was so certain on what I wanted, or they thought I was just going to try to move this relationship extremely quick or something. Like, I don't know what it was, but I came into these conversations knowing what I wanted, knowing who I wanted. And when we matched, she actually messaged me first
I think
based
I
on,
liked you
it
first.
was one of my cards that you said we could totally do this.
Oh yeah.
And the card was like, what was it? It was like,
So the card was like, we could totally do this, and it was like, build a business, open a nonprofit, travel the world, something about
start a family and leave a legacy or something like that.
something. I don't think you
Something.
had start a family. I don't think you had that. But it was like at the time I was looking for someone with similar values as mine that cared about a freedom-based lifestyle, that cared about, you know, going beyond societal norms and just working a 9 to 5. And like, no shade, that's just not the lifestyle I knew I was made for. And so he was the only person I had like connected with that I could see cared about those same things. And so we started messaging based on that. But I remember a moment like weeks later, we were walking, and I didn't know you had this list. I didn't know Mike had this list of like qualities he wants in a partner, a wife. And I think it was like 10 things or something. And you either pulled it out or you told me, and we were downtown with your friends, and we were walking, and you literally told me, you're like, you match all the things on the list.
Yeah,
And,
it was wild.
and I remember being like, oh shoot, like I match all these things on his list. That means it's serious. Like, this is really serious. And, of course I liked that because that also led to the feeling of like being chosen by him and us committing to each other later on. But you really did like find the person that you
Yeah,
really wanted.
100%.
Yeah. So then let's fast forward. Do you feel like that time in your life is kind of complete so we can fast
Yeah,
forward?
yeah,
Okay, so let's fast forward. We already told you guys in the last episode, but then months later, months into dating, you kind of already shared your story of like what was going on when I was like kind of one foot in, one foot out.
yep,
You guys can go listen to the previous episode for that. And then the whole experience happened where I went on a date with someone else a couple months into us dating, 6 months into us dating, and then we went through that process. So, what was the like? You shared kind of the moment, but why don't you share it again of like how you kind of worked through that in yourself?
I mean, first I was angry. I think I broke a lamp over my leg and was just like
Yeah.
extremely hurt, extremely furious, and I let that anger out, but I don't think I let it out in like a toxic way.
No, you know what's funny is I posted a reel because I love storytelling on reels, and I told a story and I included like that moment in time of like, and I just put broken lamps and yada yada yada, and tears were shed and things like that, something poetic. And someone like commented like, broken lamps, who broke the lamp? And I was like, does it matter who broke the lamp? And then they were trying to say that, like, yeah, because if he breaks the lamp, that means he has anger problems and he's eventually going to be abusive to you. And I literally laughed because
Yeah,
I was just like, bro, you do
this is the
not know my
farthest.
husband. Like, you do not know him. And yeah, it was anger, which was rightfully so, but it was never directed. I mean, you were angry with me, but it was never aggressive towards me is a
Yeah,
better word to say. Of course, you were angry at me, but of course, never aggressive to me. But yeah, we did. You broke one of my favorite golden lamps. I
yeah.
still miss to this day. I'm just kidding. Um. So yeah. So tell us more about that moment.
So, yeah, I was just angry. I was hurt. I felt betrayed, which, I mean, all the right to feel all of those
Yeah.
ways
Yeah.
because that's literally what happened. And kind of like what I shared on the last episode, like old me would have just completely left the relationship, would have kicked her out, would have said, you know what, I'm going to find somebody else to do this with. Um, but something in me was like, you know what, you need to stay and figure this out. And if you don't, you're just going to keep going through the same cycles over and over and over again. So, kind of one thing led to another. I was able to just release all of the anger, all of the pain. Like it was still there. I still had questions, and I still kind of asked her questions in a different way to see if she would tell me a different answer. And
Testing the truth
yeah,
as you do.
yeah, all of that. But when it really came down to it, I just had this sense of I need to let this go. They didn't kiss, they just held hands, they walked around. Like it could have been way worse than that, and it wasn't. And I thank God every day that it wasn't more than that, because we wouldn't be here today if
Yeah,
it
it would have
was.
been
100%
yeah.
would have been done. Um, but yeah, it hurt. It hurt a lot, and I didn't want to tell anybody about it. And then my friends were texting me the next day, like, "Hey, just want to let you know I saw Samantha with some dude down at Grassroots." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. She told me when she got home." But the beautiful thing was, like, they didn't judge me for staying with you or anything like that. Like nobody judged anything about what happened, because we all know people make mistakes, and sometimes when something seems too good to be true, you need to you go externally. You don't need to,
Yeah, you
but
definitely, I was
yeah,
going to say, it's not
don't
preferable.
no, don't you don't need to. But sometimes your mind kind of needs to go outside and like you're just testing the dynamics and
Oh, you're saying that's what I was
the
doing?
love of that you were actually feeling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I was triggered by like how safe and I wouldn't say good because we were also like navigating hard things at that time. Like we had just moved in together and like that was difficult to adjust to. And all of those like patterns that came up within us through
Yeah.
that. But I think like again, it was like that temptation. It was the brains and the old ways, the worldly ways of being, that temptation that again just needed to, ideally that didn't happen, but it just got purged out of my system. That's how God, you know, let it happen for me.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a really, really good thing for me and for our partnership, and the closeness of really like choosing to be kind of like ride or dies in a way.
Oh, for sure.
So that happened. And then um, you had this feeling, months go by and you had this feeling and I had this feeling. Oh, I'm sorry, only 1 month went by and we both had the feeling of let's have a baby. And then we had it separately. Again, we tell that story in the last episode. We had this feeling separately and then we talked about it together and then we planned it together. Is this practical?
And we were like trying in
February.
February.
Didn't get pregnant till March.
Then in the middle of trying, she's like, "You know what? I don't want to do this anymore."
I got so scared.
And I got like part of me got hurt, and I was like, "Well, she doesn't want to have my kid. Like, what is going on? Is this still 1 foot in, or what is going on here?"
I got scared for real.
And then we were in Minnesota, and we are like, "You know what? We're gonna just try once." And 10 months later, I think, yeah, 10 months later.
Just about. I think it was closer to 9, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we I did get what is it called? Chicken feet? Is that what it's called? Cold
Cold
feet.
feet.
Cold chicken
Chicken
feet. Oh
feet.
gosh.
Hey, sorry guys, I got some chicken feet.
I make too much bone broth, can you tell? With chicken feet. Anyways, I got cold feet. I did. That's a big decision to make. My mind got in it. In it, like, does this make sense? Like comparing us to what's standard, but really, like, I ended up surrendering to, as uncomfortable as it was, God's plan. And surrendering to God's plan for what I feel the Holy Spirit was nudging me towards, which was getting pregnant. And yeah, that was so hard. Pregnancy was so hard on me, like physically and emotionally and mentally. Luckily, Mike, like, foundationally took care of me every step of the way, and was just like such an amazing supportive partner in all the ways he knew how at that time. And since then we've only gotten more supportive and amazing with each other. But so, did you see? How do you feel like your initiation into fatherhood went? What was that like for you?
There's two parts to it.
Okay.
Part one was extremely rough. Part two, because I had you, it was a lot easier than what it could have been. Because at that point, you didn't need to work at all.
Mm-hmm.
I essentially told you, you're having my daughter. You don't need to work another day in your life if you don't want to. And we were married at that time,
Still are.
still are.
Shout out to us.
Yeah, going strong.
Yeah, right.
um, but because I run my own business at that time, I believe I had like 7 people on my team.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I am a marketer and I write copy. So, like, I can't do that if I'm tired. So she would wake up with Athena. She would put Athena to bed and all of that stuff. And I'm extremely, extremely grateful because of how much she did for our daughter, for our family, all of that.
Oh yeah, full-time job.
Oh,
Full-time
100%.
job on my part. And you had your full-time job of working. Like that doesn't work for every couple. But it did work for us for a time
Yep.
in that first year. It did work for us.
Yeah. And I remember the first week we brought her home, we slept on the couch because we were too scared to sleep anywhere else. And the only thing that would kind of keep her quiet was putting cartoons on the TV, even though she couldn't see or anything.
Was it cartoons?
Yeah, I would, I would, I sat there and I watched cartoons all night long while you two slept there, and I just laid there awake, making sure that you two were okay.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she wasn't like listening to them. She was asleep.
I know,
Totally.
but it still felt like somehow
It put her
it
to
was
sleep.
comforting her, and it was bringing up a lot of nostalgia for me because I was watching cartoons that I used to watch when I was
Aw.
little. So I was like, I had this bonding moment with this little teeny tiny thing that couldn't bond with me yet unless we were doing like
Skin to
skin to
skin.
skin contact. And it was the scariest but most beautiful moments of my entire life. And then I think the hardest part was when we moved because she's 3 years old, or she's 2 years old, 2.5, and we've already moved. Was it? Has it been
Three.
four
No.
times?
Well, since she's been born, we moved twice because we moved to Charleston and then we moved to this house.
Okay.
So, but since Mike and I have been together, we moved 4 times, five
Yeah.
times maybe.
And moving with an infant, extremely difficult. Trusting to let grandmas take care of them and stuff like that, extremely difficult. Like there's all of these different things that we were navigating that we just didn't know how. And I thought that because I was 30, it would be a lot easier.
So, what do you feel like in your own character, like when it comes to from when Athena was born to like who you are as a father now? What do you feel like changed in your own character through that time?
I got more grounded, which is what a lot of people say that are close to me,
Mm-hmm.
is the way that I kind of hold myself, where I don't let my anger take over. I don't I don't let my anger take over. I allow myself to feel my emotions in a positive way, where if I do get angry, I don't get mad at myself for getting angry. Um, I used to feel a lot of shame around that. And I used to feel shame that I wasn't able to help out as much. But then I just realized that that's just a season of our life that we're in the moment. So being able to just notice these patterns on how I'm feeling and be able to kind of redirect that feeling into something more positive has been extremely beneficial for all of that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. So you said you feel like more grounded, more emotionally aware, and attuned with yourself. Um, I feel like something we've talked about too that you might not be remembering right now, but that it's important is I feel like you've become more selfless too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, it beckons all parents, right? All parents who want to be good parents, that is, to be like less selfish and more of service to each other as a family. And I've definitely seen that in you as well.
Yeah, I would say the last year has, just because of how deep we've gone in our faith and a lot of the teachings of Jesus and stuff like that, where I've kind of had to die to myself and my needs and what I want and start living my life like Christ and to be Christ like and stuff like that. And that means putting God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, all of that before anything else, which is why like the freedom equation that I talk about is faith, family, finance, fitness, fun, and then fulfillment. With faith always being at the front and forced, like the front and center, because everything else kind of, it's like the umbrella that's above everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows me to be selfless like Jesus was. Um, Jesus literally had all the power in the world, but yet he still went and washed people's feet. And that is selfless, 100%.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I've definitely seen that shift in you of just like being more in service and selfless when it comes to showing up for us and our family and me, supporting me, and everything that goes with that. So, our last question here: what are you most excited for right now and for some of our future together? Don't go too far. Don't give away some of our secret visions here. You know what I'm talking about. Don't give those away yet.
Yeah.
Don't jump the gun, but give just like some things that you're excited for.
Honestly, one of the things that I'm excited for isn't necessarily our marriage, it's more Athena and just watching her continue to grow and develop and having her be like, not all the time, but sometimes when we go to pray, she's like super excited. And sometimes she'll even come up to Samantha and be like, Mom, let's pray.
She'll specifically say, "Mom, pray for bugs."
Yeah.
She likes to pray for bugs, alligators, and frogs.
And just like watching Samantha develop as a woman of God, as a child of God, has been one of the most beautiful experiences, especially coming from like shamanic and the very woo woo spiritual side of things, and really kind of anchoring her work in Christ and stuff like that. Like that has been just one of the most beautiful things that I have been able to witness in our relationship. And I'm just
Oh,
excited to watch it continue to grow.
that's awesome. Slack notifications.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. And thank you for acknowledging that in me. I've thoroughly enjoyed it and happy to be obedient and surrendered.
She
Uh,
looks like she's thoroughly enjoyed it, right?
did
I've thoroughly enjoyed
I not look happy?
it.
um, so yeah, I love that. Is there anything else you want to leave people with? Kind of like a summary of, you know, kind of your lesson throughout this whole process of our journey together in our marriage.
Yeah. trust trust in God's plan for your life. Give yourself those quiet moments to actually listen and hear what he says. We are so addicted to dopamine, and we'll have an entire episode
Cue
on
rant.
this.
Okay, good.
And
It's going to be a whole ass rant.
yeah.
Pardon my language. I know. I'm trying. I'm really trying.
Oh, foul mouth.
We're bad in this household, and we are working towards it, right? And
Hey, I've
we're
gone
never
2
perfect.
episodes without swearing, so
That's impressive. Yeah, I feel like to close this up, like a main point of our last 2 episodes is, you know, we were what?
I was just gonna say being raw and real with what you've done, who you are, and who you're becoming. Because
Who you've been?
one thing they've been saying in church, and I've read it in books, and like it's been almost surrounding me the past 2 weeks, is Jesus doesn't call the called
The
or
qualified.
the qualified. He qualifies the ones that he calls. I think I said that right.
I think so. It sounds right.
Where how I interpret that is, if you look at the 12 disciples, like they weren't these like
perfect people.
perfect godly people. They were Matthew the tax collector that literally everybody hated because he was a tax collector. There was Simon the fisherman that was so far in debt that he like was struggling and was going to lose everything. And I feel like the church doesn't need more perfect pastors. I think the church needs more people that have gone through the mud and have dug themselves out with Jesus, with God by their sides. And that's kind of the message and the hope that I want to bring to you guys, and to just bring through my businesses and stuff like that, is like, you don't have to be perfect. Jesus doesn't want you to be perfect. Like, yes, the goal is to live Christ-like and stuff like that, and Jesus was perfect. But when it comes down to it, your pain and your struggle brings a lot more power than perfection.
I mean, what else can show the goodness of God than turning who you were into who you are now?
Yep.
Like, and turning our relationship from what it was and all gosh,
The crazy
worst,
yeah.
I don't even know, ickiness of what that was, into the good and holy and sacred life we create with our family now. Like, I don't know what else can show the goodness of God. And, you know, to wrap it all up, that's why we called our podcast Made New.
Paid new.
Paid new, baby. No, made new, because, you know, our lives have really been made new, and our relationship has really been made new. And so thank you guys so much for listening, and we hope to see you again in our next episode. Share this with your friends, or with anyone who you feel might enjoy listening. Yeah, no, share it with your friends, any family, you know, all the good stuff. And we'll see you guys next time.